Hey, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about different types of data that you're going to find in your survey. All right. So we have to know the different types of data because different data can be represented in different diagrams. All right. So the first type of data, and the one that you're probably most used to, is called categorical. All right. Categorical data has word answers. All right. So for example, what's your favorite color? That's a categorical question because people can choose from a list of word answers. All right. So categorical data. So what's your favorite color? So a circle graph, right? A circle graph can display categorical data really well because each category gets its own circle chunk, right? So this shows us that most people like blue, second most like yellow, then green, and very few people like red, right? So this circle graph shows my categorical data really well. Another thing that you'd be used to is showing categorical data in a bar graph. All right, a bar graph is also very good to show categorical data because each category gets its own bar, right? And the higher the bars are, the better that choice was for people, right? So this shows that most people like yellow, and then blue, and then green, and then red. All right, so circle graphs and bar graphs can display categorical data really well, okay? The next one would be numerical discrete data. Okay, so numerical, you guys all understand that it's numbers. All right, discrete means that they have to choose from a list of numbers. All right, so for example, how many students are in a class? That's discrete, right? Because it's going to be a certain number, 28, 29, 23, 6, right? Any of those numbers are certain numbers, right? And how many cars do you own? Right? So the answers are specific numbers. So how many cars do you own? Again, we're going to use circle graphs and bar graphs. So same as the categorical data because each number gets its own section. So 0 cars, very few people. Same in the bar graph. 0 bars, very few people, right? 1 car, lots of people just have 1 car, right? On this graph, it shows that 40 people have 1 car. 2 cars, even more. So it shows that almost 50 people have 2 cars, about 47, right? So most people have 2 cars, and then again, very few people have 3 cars, all right? So numerical discrete data has to do with numbers, but it's very similar to categorical data. It's a list of numbers that you can pick from, okay? The last one that we have to talk about, and the one that's a little bit more complicated and harder to understand, is called numerical continuous data, okay? So numerical continuous data could be any number, okay? And it doesn't have to be a specific number. It doesn't have to be 23 students, right? So, and a good example is your height, all right? So your height is numerical continuous because while your height could be 160, somebody else's could be 161, but it's continuous in the way that somebody else could be between you two. Somebody could be 160.5, right? So if we're allowed to go into decimal places, that's continuous data. Okay, so for example, your height, that's continuous. Okay, your weight is continuous. Anything that we have to measure and we can go into decimals for, right? Your mark could be continuous because I could give you 0.5 or something like that. All right. Now it's important that you have an example of continuous data in your survey because continuous data requires different types of graphs, right? Both numerical discrete and categorical use circle or bar graphs, right? Other one, circle, bar graphs. That was fine. This one doesn't use circle and bar graphs. This one uses either line graphs or histograms, all right? So the way that we do this, because it could be any number, we don't list the numbers down here, right? You see how in categorical discrete, we listed 0, 1, 2, 3. That was it. Here, I can't possibly list everybody's height, so I don't try to. What I do is I start from a number, so I'm guessing that the shortest person will be 150 centimeters, right? So 150 centimeters, and then I go up by a certain number that I decide, right? So say 10. So 150, 160, 170, 180, 190, and 200, okay? And then everybody that fits into this list, so 150 to 160, I count them to there, right? So this shows that about 32 people are between 150 and 160 centimeters. It shows that about 40 people are between 160 and 170, 40 people are between 170 and 180, This is 20, so 20 people are between 180 and 190, and only about 15 people are between 190 and 200. Okay? So this is a line graph. A histogram is a lot like a bar graph, right? You see the similarity, right? So there's a bar graph, right? It's got bars. A histogram has bars, but it has no spaces, okay? And that's because the data is continuous. So again, how many people fit between 150 and 160? So here, about 32. 160 to 170 is about 40. 170 to 180 is about 40. 180 to 190 is 20. And 190 to 200 is about 15 people. All right? So numerical continuous data, I can go into decimal places, and then I sort the people into lists, and that whole list represents 1 point. Okay? So those are the 3 types of data. All right? To reiterate, we have categorical, which is word answers. We have numerical discrete, which is a list of numbers. And we have numerical continuous, which is a whole big range of numbers, and they can pick any number in between. All right? So that's it.